Hey everybody, I'm Wyatt, joined by Vernon and Alex, and this is Cinema Trip Reviews Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Was not expecting this movie, Vern. You kind of picked this out of left field. I knew this movie existed. I knew it was a book at one point, but I never seen it. I never even thought about seeing it. So it was an interesting movie.
Listen,
was there any thought process behind this pick?
I was tasked with picking a movie, okay? And my personal goal was to find one that us three have not seen. I'm scrolling through, and boom, pops up. Like, it always catches my eye every time I'm looking through movies, but like you said, I never had the real desire to actually go watch it. But I was like, boom, let me suggest this one. And both of you guys said you didn't see it. I'm like, perfect. My girl said she loved it. My uncle even recommended it. He said he loved it too. And I was like, all right, I'm going into this. Like, let's go. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm glad you guys watched it because it was definitely an experience. So,
you know what my first note on this movie was?
What?
Best documentary I've ever seen about it.
I was like, I didn't even know that he did all this stuff. They left us out of school.
Why didn't they tell me this in school?
Yeah, this is some whitewash history. They ain't telling us about the vampires.
This whole time, like the whole movie, I was just thinking the whole time. I was like, I bet Alex is loving this, like this, because he just loves like these cheesy horror, like B-movie horror movies. And this isn't even a B movie. This was made like bigger budget, by a studio.
So, I remember when this came out, actually. Like, I vividly remember this being advertised and stuff. But
yeah, and I was like, I feel like it wasn't long after they did like Snakes on a Plane and all that, where like you know what it is by the title of the movie. Like,
it was not trying to trick you.
Nobody's trying to trick you here. They gave you exactly what they said they were giving you, man.
Exactly.
And I'm honestly, like, my general, and not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but my general opinion on it was like, I enjoyed it the whole way through. You know what I mean? I did have my parts that I didn't like, but like I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is just some wild shit. Like, I was into it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I just had like the basic bullet points because I was like, oh, there's just so much going on. Like, like you're saying, I was entertained the whole way throughout. There really wasn't too many like little boring moments or anything like that.
Right.
It was pretty fast.
Shit going on.
A lot of ridiculous stuff. I mean, it's about as good as you expect a movie called Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter you expect it to be. It's about as good as that. So I mean,
exactly.
You can't go into it expecting a masterpiece. It's not like Lincoln by Steven Spielberg over here.
Exactly.
The movie's based around him just writing everything down in this journal throughout his whole life. He's had this book since he was a little kid. He's like, I'm just going to write everything in it. And he just kept it. I don't know how he was adding pages to it throughout his whole life because I feel like you're going to run out of pages eventually.
No, he picked the perfect amount.
Yeah, he got the book. He thought about it when he was 5. He's like, I'm going to be writing in this. He thought about it.
But you find out like him and his family are working for like I guess slavers, and then like some shit going down. He tries to stand up for him. His dad says no, but he does it anyway because he's that dude.
Does it anyway because he's Abraham Lincoln.
Because it's Abraham Lincoln. It's
exactly. Honest Abe.
So he goes out.
The working title of this was? I looked this up. Bloody Honest, which I think would have been a much better title.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been like keeping some of the mystery about it,
Yeah,
that is awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because they tried to stop him. They go in and they bite his mom. And we didn't know this in history. Abraham Lincoln's mom died of a vampire bite.
That's what set him off.
That's what set him off. And
that's what gave him his hate for the vampires.
He's been holding this grudge in for like 10 years. And then he finally goes and he's like, I'm going to kill... what was like Jack Bart or whatever his name was. And he goes and he tries to kill him, finds out he's a vampire.
I do know like that deck scene at the beginning was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
With like him cool. like shoving him through the deck and the way he had the camera and everything. Like I thought that shit was cool as fuck.
I thought it was a cool fight scene. And the intro to the vampires, I thought they were cool design. Like they looked cool when they were like in full vampire mode,
Exactly.
That was the first one. I was like, oh shit.
Definitely looked really cool in this movie. Like no knock on at any of that. Like they looked awesome.
They weren't like overdone or underdone or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I like that
they were
scene.
Unique enough.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that scene on the dock, like where he thought he killed him, and then he's like walking away, and like as his body moves, like the body's gone. Like you see it in the background, and then like when the camera goes past it, it's gone again, and like, oh man. And then where's he at?
It was cool.
Then he's
going
to get his ass beat, and then old Henry comes and saves the day. And that's
the dude that was like Blade, right?
He's the dude who teaches him.
Yeah, he's the dude that teaches him. But yeah, it was like the dude that plays Preacher on that TV show.
He's a vampire though, right?
But yeah, you find that out.
You don't know that yet.
You don't know that yet.
Yeah, but as soon as he was drinking blood, you knew that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they did hint it, like in this very next scene coming up.
Yeah,
that's one question I have. I brought it up when I was watching with her. Like, do you think, and this is random, but do you think vampires drink blood straight up, or like you think like bougie vampires are drinking like some type of blood mix with something? Wine. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Know. Like, what do you think? Because
it depends on the lore, I guess. I mean,
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, because there's some stuff where like vampires can't drink or eat anything other than blood.
Yeah. I've even seen lore where they can't even do animal blood; they have to do human blood.
Human blood.
Yeah, I've seen lore of that too.
Well, that kind of answers the question, though. If that's like more or less like what the general consensus is, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the lore of the movie, however they want to go about it, I guess. But Henry kind of trains him in the way of being a vampire hunter, and he even tells him like, you can't have a family, you can't be you have to be a nobody if you're going to go in this profession, and you can't like go out for vengeance. It's not based on vengeance. You got to rid the world of evil.
How is Honest Abe though gonna lie to get into the vampire hunter thing? That's another note I had. Like he straight up lies to this dude. He's like, no, I'm
Honest Abe.
Yeah. Like Honest Abe.
Like,
he's like,
doing? Yes. He's like, yes, I want you to teach me. And then like the inner monologue's like, but I will eventually kill that.
I lied.
But
I have a question. How's this dude able to just chop a tree down and like
that was my next point. Was like, yeah, that part of his training, he had to chop the tree down in one swing as a human, but it never really comes back again. In the future, you think it's gonna like come into play at some point where he needs to chop.
He's super strong.
But yeah,
it
never.
This is where
super strong.
This is where they bring it up to, and they say,
real power comes not from hate, but from truth.
And I thought that was going to tie back into him being Honest Abe, but that never came back around. That was a completely dead plot point at this moment. Dead.
Yeah.
It was pretty badass to see, but like I was like confused. I'm like, how? How? I mean, I know this is a movie, but this is Honest Abe. How did he just chop a tree down in one swing? Like it just doesn't. Oh, is he
power
Goku?
Inside him, man.
Power inside.
Technically, at that point, it was like his 5th or 6th swing. Like at that point,
that's true. That's another thing that I was thinking about. Is it wasn't really one swing. He was chopping the shit out of that tree, and by the time it exploded, it was probably like 5 or 6 swings in. So that makes a little bit more sense too.
Yeah. And on top of that, you find out like he's not very good with guns, as we saw when he tried to kill that vampire on the docks. The gun jammed. He couldn't load it right.
I thought he got him pretty well, dude. He got him right in the eye.
Yeah, I didn't know not the first time. The gun jammed the first time.
Listen, guns were notorious for jamming back in the Civil War. That's like a thing. I don't think it was his fault. Like that was like a thing back then.
Because it's Abraham Lincoln, he says, "I'll trust it. I'm using my trusty axe."
My axe.
He put that silver on it, and like I thought that was pretty badass. Yeah. He put the silver over the axe.
They train to fight him, and they train in the dark too. Like
he was locking his ass in this room. He's like, again, you know, like that shit was badass.
Another question is, isn't George Washington who's famous with an axe?
Like Abe
chopped down the cherry tree.
He chopped down the cherry tree. I didn't recognize the axe with Abe Lincoln. I feel like we're mixing presidents here. Like, what was the relevance of an axe for him?
Well, Abe Lincoln, just like I picture him with an axe, man. Like, look at his background.
Well,
like,
awesome. When I see it, I picture it, but I just.
It's badass.
I didn't know if like I didn't remember history right, and there was like something with Abe.
No, I thought about it too, but I just figured I'd roll with it. Just like everything else in this movie, you gotta roll with it, man.
You just gotta roll with it. Exactly, it's a movie.
He gets sent to Springfield on his first assignment, pretty much, and he meets old Doyle McPoyle from Sunny in Philadelphia.
I thought so. I was like, where do I know him from?
And he's also in Westworld. Season 1 as well.
Yes.
Who's like the shop owner there, and he takes him in. He has the room upstairs, and he makes him work in the shop.
Why he studies to be a lawyer.
Why he studies to be a lawyer, And then he meets old Mary Todd and Stephen Douglas. They come into the shop by chance, and he instantly falls in love with Mary Todd.
They were engaged, right?
Yeah, that was one of my biggest problems too. Yeah. They were engaged. Abe Lincoln straight up stole this man's
all
woman.
Because of that ball they go to.
After like
straight
3 dates too. Like
after a couple dates, exactly. I was like, oh my god.
Well, I don't want to get too
literally it was like that store, and then they go on like a picnic, and then they're at the ball.
Yeah.
So it's like
I think the ball's first.
Yeah, like the ball is first, and then they start bonding, and then they go on the date. But still, it's only like 3 times. But even after the ball, they lure her away, like purposely to Abe. You know?
Right.
Like I know this chick's gonna cheat on her fiance. Don't worry about it. And then when they're out in this picnic all day, they're out in the day and they come back at night, and Abe Lincoln brings her back. And I'm like, doesn't her fiance like care?
Where
like she's just out with this dude right now.
Like, oh yeah.
He even like tells her like, Mary, I'm a vampire hunter or whatever, and she like stares at him, and she's like, oh Abe.
Okay.
That's the thing.
She's like, okay, sure, you have fun hunting them vampires tonight or whatever.
You're like, don't come at me later when you see me covered in blood coming home. Like, I told you I was a vampire hunter. You didn't believe me. That's your fault. Like,
my next note is right after that picnic scene when she stands on his hat. What the fuck is that hat made out of, dude?
Yeah,
I thought the same thing because she couldn't
stood on this hat.
Reach up to kiss him. She stands on his hat.
That is the strongest hat I've ever seen in my whole goddamn life.
It's like you were saying, Dragon Ball Z, where they're wearing the weighted clothes. It's a weighted hat.
What is that hat made of?
Maybe in the sequel they didn't make the sequel. Maybe there's a gun inside of the hat or something, like a Gatling gun in the hat or something.
Definitely. How did she stand on that hat?
But he has his first night out. He has his first assignment, and he gets trapped in the basement pretty much immediately. Like there's a trap door. He even asked him, like, "Oh, are you this dude?" Nope, dude, automatically suspicious. Why you at my shop late at night?
Yeah,
hits the button. Like you a vampire hunter.
Well, why you in my shop late at night? Boom, you're trapped.
And then he's hanging down there with all those other bodies. He's about to get carved up.
I thought he was gonna get real fucked up in that position there, but he ended up getting out of it.
Yeah, he ends up getting out of it. The gore in it was pretty cool. There was a lot more gore than I expected, like blood flying everywhere for like a big budget movie like this, you know. Usually they kind of stay away from that kind of stuff, tone it down.
Try to tame it down to get as many eyes on it as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. This one are.
So it was pretty surprising. They go to the ball, as we mentioned before. They steal Mary Todd away from her fiance Stephen Adams at the time. They go and distract him. They distract him a while he is working his magic on Mary Todd. And then he that night goes out and takes out a second target. There's a banker that disappears, and it just kind of that brings in another element of the vampires. They can just kind of vanish and pop out at certain points, and you see that
pretty
later
crazy
in the movie as well.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And then we get the introduction. I didn't even know he was in it. Anthony Mackie plays Will Johnson, the boy.
This was my favorite part of the movie.
The boy that he helped save in the beginning of the movie comes back as an adult. And it's
Falcon was in the movie.
Falcon was in it.
That was my favorite part of the movie right there.
Immediately, you know, he meets up with, he's like, I'm kind of in a bind here. And, you know, and he goes out and they get in a fight in the middle of the town and they go to jail. Not a good start for old Honest Abe trying to run, be a lawyer, start out in politics. And then we go to hunt Jack Bart here. You know, they get out and he's like, all right, it's time. And he's like, he even talks to Henry. He's like, when is the time? Like, I've been doing all this for you. Like, I need to go out and kill him now.
It's time now.
and that leads to one of the most ridiculous action scenes you have ever seen.
I liked it.
I liked 90% of it.
The horse chase is what we're going into.
Yeah, we're going into the horse chase. I mean,
I thought we were talking about something else. The horse chase to me, and I brought this up. This shit was Fast and the Furious.
It was why
I was like, what the hell? Like, how is he jumping horse to horse?
Well, they're like hanging off the horses for a minute, and then they're riding the horses, and then they just start hopping across them.
I liked when Bart was just throwing horses at him. He was just like grabbing.
Oh my gosh, yeah, just running between them and just spinning and chucking them. Ridiculous.
wild.
Throwing the horses, I was like, oh my god, that shit was pretty cool. But like, I was like, this is like Fast and the Furious to me with horses.
It was outrageous. This was one of the most ridiculous parts of the movie for me at least.
Might have been the most ridiculous part of any movie I've seen in a while. It was pretty ludicrous.
And then they're hanging off the edge of this deep ass cliff, and then 5 seconds later they go off the cliff, and then it's like
it's just like a little
bit
hill.
of an incline. They're just rolling down the hill. Think he's been using an axe the whole time. Nah,
cool.
Dude's got a gun in the end of the
he's like holding
the handle there. Yeah, shoots him right in the face.
Mm-hmm.
So he went out just how he wanted.
Badass.
The gun axe was cool.
The gun
when
axe
you mix any bladed weapon with a gun, it's cooler. You know,
it's gonna turn out cool.
The gun's
cool.
there just for when he needs it.
Yeah.
And then upon returning home, he finds out, like we mentioned before, Henry is out here just drinking people's blood.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude he kills was like a rapist.
Bad dude.
It was a bad dude.
It's like...
So, I mean, I guess he kills bad people, but still, he didn't tell him he was a vampire.
Right.
And then we get a kind of a backstory into Henry here with what's going on with him.
But like, Abe getting so mad was kind of like overreaction to me. I'm like, come on, like you weren't even a little bit suspicious, like that.
And you lied to him too.
And you lied to him too.
Yeah,
you know, like he got too mad
because he straight cuts him out of his life.
Yeah.
Like he runs for president.
Doesn't see him.
Well, it's a scene, but I mean,
married.
there's a big time jump between their next meeting.
So is he not a vampire hunter in that entire time period?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he just
Until
hangs
he
it up
sees him again at the wedding.
because he just wants to kill old Jack Bart.
Oh, that's right. Because he puts the axe away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wait, we're skipping though. I want to get into why I was
Henry's backstory here. We find out that the vampires, I mean the head honcho that you kind of seen, you only seen like in one or two scenes before, and we're like 45, 50 minutes into the movie, and the main villain we've only seen like once or twice, like very short scenes. But him and his vampire gang pretty much roll up on Henry, kill his girl in front of him, and then turn him into a vampire. And then you find out that vampires can't hurt or kill other vampires, which
stupidest shit ever.
They break their own rules later in the movie, like at the very end. They break their own rules at the very end of the movie.
So that was a fucking lie.
I can get like down with the willing suspense of disbelief, but then they're gonna tell me there's a fucking force field where he's just like get the fuck out of here.
Can't kill other vampires.
Like what? That's ridiculous.
I don't know enough about vampires. Like I didn't know if that was like a general thing or not.
I don't feel like if he'd have got stabbed in the chest anyways, it'd have killed him anyways, you know? And it was so ridiculous. That's the whole scene with him holding the knife and there's like a force field. I was just waiting for the knife to bend or something.
Yeah,
like,
that would have been even more ridiculous, man, if that did that.
Might as well at that point.
It's stupid.
They kidnap old Anthony Mackie.
Yeah.
Yeah. They kidnap Anthony Mackie and him and Speed go and rescue him.
Yeah, him and old McPoyle go to rescue Anthony Mackie in New Orleans, and it's like a feasting party they invite him to, where they just start tearing the throats out of all these guests and like the waiters and everything there.
That shit was crazy, man.
Yeah, and I mean they had Abraham dead to rights there, man. They caught him. They were gonna kill him, and then old McPoyle comes saving the day with the wagon.
Apparently has the best aim ever. He Fast and Furious skidded over him.
Oh my god! Yeah,
exactly.
it spins around in the house. In the house, you're riding a horse and carriage through a house.
A horse and buggy. It wasn't even like a truck or nothing. It was a horse and buggy. And he's drifting
this shit.
Busted through the wall like it was nothing. Like these horses wouldn't just like plop right into this wall. Like horses are
slide on the wooden floor or something.
These horses bust through the wall like they're made of fucking metal. Like they just ran into this wall.
Like it's the front of a Chevy.
Yeah, but before he gets saved, the guy makes him a deal like, we'll let you go and everything, but you gotta kill this fucker Henry because we can't kill him. He's out here training people to kill us, but we can't do anything about it. Like you go ahead, kill him. We even, dog. Don't worry about it. And then he's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Gets saved in the nick of time, and then he decides he wants out, hangs the axe up, becomes president. And that's whenever you see like the Civil War kickstarts, the Emancipation Proclamation happens, and then almost immediately, vampires infiltrate the White House, find the pocket watch, which is kind of, I feel like they should have made it a bigger focal point. They hint at it, but like it was, the introduction of it was just a tiny scene where it has like his name inside of it and everything, and that's where who the bad guys find out who it is. It's Abraham Lincoln. They didn't know who the vampire hunter was before. They find the pocket watch. Oh fucking Abraham! It's the president of the United States right now. That chick that you've been seeing kind of lurking in the shadows of the vampire group infiltrates the White House, and I was like, oh,
she gets to his son.
Gets to the son. This little kid. Yeah, and then like you get the, like he was playing with like the little Civil War like soldiers, and he has like the little like bayonet that he was playing with, and he drops that, and then like they leave the pocket watch there too.
And Lincoln finds the pocket watch there, and he knows immediately. He knows exactly. He's like, "You sons of bitches!
Thought I was out. They put me
retired."
Back
in. Like he's back. So he goes and he opens up the case. Pops the trunk on him.
Yeah, and then you get a scene of Gettysburg where I mean the vampires just come in and start tearing shit up, and that's whenever
imagine that.
Yeah, right. And they just disappear, vampires, like they're running straight at them and then just disappear, and then they're behind them. It's crazy.
Oh my god.
That was a good scene, though. And then they get the bright idea, these are vampires we're fighting against. Gather up all the silver. And then they just
the silver in the country.
All the silver in the and they immediately gather up all the silver in the country. And this is actually happening in this movie. They're like, we fight vampires, we get all the silver. And they put out a mandate, and they just show like these little scenes of like these cities gathering up all their dumping silver out of their houses.
It's loaded up onto a train.
Oh my gosh!
They melt it down first. They've already melted.
They melt it down.
Yeah, make bullets out of it.
And then for some reason, I mean, it doesn't seem like everything's going right for them. They're losing the war. Abe's kind of into depression at this point. And then McPoyle decides to betray him. He decides to help him out.
I was so mad when he betrayed him. I was like, there's no way. McPoyle, come on now.
Lets the vampires know that they're collecting silver and getting everything together. Putting it on the train, getting ready to go. And the vampires are like, we gotta stop this train.
Oh, we missed a scene, by the way. Mary, who he is well aware that he's a vampire, comes at Abe like she didn't know. You know, like, this is your fault.
She didn't know.
I told you all those years ago. I thought you were joking. That's what they should have said.
20 years ago, that was a vampire hunter.
What you talking about? Like, have you not been listening to me all these years?
What do you think I've been every night?
But yeah, she gets pissed. It storms out. And then, like, they gotta tell her, like, you gotta get out of here. It's not safe at the White House.
Yeah.
They're coming. And how do they transport the silver and Mary Todd out of Washington? Not the train railroad. There's another railroad, and and that leads to the Underground Railroad, where they're transporting all the silver, and that leads to the big climax, pretty much, of the movie, which is the train scene here.
Train scene was cool.
This is what I was gonna say. Like, I like 90% of it up until a certain point, and I was like, "You telling me?" We'll get to that point, but that's how I felt. Okay.
But yeah, there's a train ambush. This reminded me of like Zack Snyder. They use way too much slow-mo throughout this whole
I know.
And it was nowhere else really. Like a couple of sprinkles, maybe, this was like
but yeah, they saved it all just for this last scene, man. Like this
I thought about counting it.
But yeah, there's so much slow-mo, you know, he's just hacking and killing all these vampires that are just attacking this train, you know.
Which
a lot
was
of cool
badass.
Kills, a lot of badass fighting in it. The choreography was actually pretty good in it. I was proud.
Yeah, the whole on top of the train when they're passing the axe back and forth.
Oh,
that was great choreography.
That was really
all
cool.
the action was fucking cool, you know.
All the action
was really cool.
Whereas like
but seeing Anthony Mackie load that gun up and just start going off on him, like, that shit was badass.
Yeah, and that whole scene just popping him.
The only thing I did laugh at is when Anthony Mackie like was gonna fall off the train and they slow-mo'd it, and then he just walks right back on. It's not like he hangs on something. He just like was that worth a slow-mo? Was that it?
Yeah, they had a
just
budget.
like
they were under budget at that point. By the time they got there, they were like, "Damn, we got how much money left? All right,
yeah,
slow-mo that."
And they got Abe dead to rights again. They're gonna kill Abe, and then old Henry comes in to save the day, and I think he's the one that puts his arm in front of him, right? He gets
Yeah,
bit.
he gets bit.
Yeah.
Where it's
Which-
like,
No, that's Speed.
was it Speed that did
Speed
that?
puts his arm in front of him.
Because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was so fast. It was just like a quick cut. You don't even know. Like I didn't even realize what happened there.
Like, what's your rule on not killing him? Can you harm him at all? Like, why were in his teeth? Like,
Yeah,
get
exactly.
stopped.
Yeah.
So I think it was Speed, but if it was Henry and I'm wrong, like, where's the limit here? Can I chop an arm off, but like not kill him? You know, like, can I just have him like be a little torso body and be like, I didn't kill you. You're fine. You know, you'll survive. You're a vampire.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they use the pocket watch to kill the bad guy in the end. Like the pocket watch comes back into play.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh, there's the super strength again too. By the way, that comes up.
I guess that's where it came into play. Is he just wrapped the silver around his hand and just like, bah!
But
Yeah,
right
that
into
shit
his
was
chest.
crazy.
But seriously,
I was like,
you
oh
thought it
my
would be like
god.
chop down the tree. You think it would be like him using an axe on something to save somebody or something. I don't know. Have him use like. You have him chop down this tree in one swing. Why wouldn't you have him like the vampires took over the train? He has to chop down the bridge, and he's
They just blow up the bridge.
yeah,
man.
or something, and that's where that comes into play. But no, he just wraps the pocket watch around and just pretty much punches a hole through the vampire.
Again, maybe just running out of money here at this point.
Maybe.
But the scene, so they're going across the bridge and they're blowing the bridge up, and the train's like falling down as like
just
it's
keeps
doing.
going down, and then they're
Yeah.
running on the beams.
Yeah, I did think it was cool when the vampire was chasing him. He was just kicking the beams down, just like because they're above him on the train, like on the last part,
Yeah,
and he's below, just like
He's
kicking
just
the beams
slamming
down.
them.
I thought that was cool. Scene.
I thought that was very ridiculous. That's the part where I was like, and I'm watching, and I watched this whole movie this whole time, and I'm just like, I was like, oh my god, like
This is the
Abraham
scene that did
Lincoln.
it.
Abraham Lincoln, you telling me Abraham Lincoln's running on top of this train away
Listen.
from an exploding bridge right now?
Yep.
And
50-year-old Abraham Lincoln at this point. He's
Yeah,
president
old
something
Abe.
at this,
President Abraham
Yeah.
Lincoln, not young vampire hunting Abraham
They
Lincoln.
got that ridiculous like old man makeup on the dude the whole time.
Yeah.
Every time they do a close up shot, you could see it. It looks so weird.
But he made it, and hey, I wanted him to survive, obviously, you know, and he made it, so it is what it is. But that was the only part of that entire scene. Otherwise, I thought that shit was cool.
See, this was the role. I feel like you peaked and came down. At this point, I was coming back up the roller coaster. Like I already way before this was like, man, this is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But at that point, like I was coming back up and like, all right, ride the
we're
absurdity,
doing
I
this
guess.
now.
Like I'm
You're
into
like,
this one.
They're running on the railroad on the train.
I was way beyond that. I was like, this movie's goddamn.
oh my god. Oh no, trust me too. But like at that point, I was just like straight cold face, like oh my god.
I'm not
What is
having
going on
fun.
right now? This wasn't in the history books.
Was not in the history, and that's the funniest thing about this is all the ridiculous vampire hunter story, and then throughout the whole thing, you have these pieces of just Abraham Lincoln, what they tell you in history class, like
Yeah.
everything else.
Like really, I honestly, and that just because we brought it up, one of my biggest complaints of the movie is when he's talking about running for senator and he wants to, you know, get equal rights for everybody, and Henry Ruggs comes right when he comes out of the Times Square, and he's like, "What are you doing running for politics?" And he's like, "Oh, you got to have a contingency plan." I was like, "Are you telling me this dude freed the slaves on a contingency plan? Like he
Yeah.
was like." That was his contingency.
Yeah, and that's one of the
cheating he was
numerous-
saying.
That's one of the numerous callbacks they have throughout the movie is like the contingency plan.
Contingency plan.
He's like,
I was
a
like,
good
man,
friend told me that to always have a contingency
a
plan.
contingency plan. Like I was like, man. Anyways, punches the hole in the vampire. Anticlimactic death for the final vampire.
Yeah,
I thought so.
it was going to be a cooler fight or something, but yeah, he ends up
He
punching
just
him.
like walks up to him and talks to him, and he's like, "Nope."
Silver wasn't
Sucker
on the
punches
train.
it.
They had it going through
Yep,
the
they
Underground
tricked him.
Railroad. They tricked
Full
them.
of rocks.
And then you get
They
the
kick it off.
Full
aftermath.
of rocks.
They're at Gettysburg, and you see old creepy ass lady, vampire lady, creeping through the tents, and Mary Todd sees her. And this was like, the whole movie was already over the top, but she gets the musket and she takes the bayonet that like her son was playing with, and like
wearing it
that
as
was
a
on a
necklace
necklace,
now.
and she just puts it in like the gun and shoots her with it. And I was like, "Oh my god, are you serious?" Like I just
That's
thought she was
another
gonna grab
thing
the
they
gun.
didn't tell
Literally-
you.
Literally unloading silver bullets, like right there. Like that's what she's doing in that
Yeah,
scene, unloading
right.
silver bullets.
But that's another little callback because like whenever they're showing the guns to Abraham Lincoln, like way earlier in the movie, they said like, "Oh, you could just put anything in there and shoot it, like blast a hole through something."
I also thought it was
was
weird.
for her son.
It was
the
for her
sword
son.
didn't go in. The sword hung out of her forehead. Like, so she made a whole silver thing because it must have been the silver chain that went into her head because just the sword stuck
Maybe there
out.
was a bullet in with the chain. I don't know.
Like the blade.
Yeah, it's dangling out of her forehead at the end. Like the whole sword is dangling out of her forehead. So the sword never goes into this woman.
Yeah, so she might not even be dead.
Mm.
And then you get the old Gettysburg Address.
Yep.
You know, at the very
Wraps
end.
Wraps it up.
You hate to see it. You know, he's getting ready to go to the theater.
I feel like they missed an opportunity here.
Have a vampire kill him.
Exactly. Have John Wilkes Booth be a vampire.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, yo, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna make him be a vampire?
Like, you could have introduced like this dude. Like, you don't find out as John Wilkes Booth to the very end. You could have just had him in with the vampires at some point during the movie. Like, even just with that chick at some point. So all right, this dude was with the vampires. And then at the theater, you see him creep in. You're like, oh shit, that's John Wilkes Booth. Like, yeah, that could have been like a post-credit scene or some shit.
And it would have made the cliffhanger so much better because in the cliffhanger, you see, like, it does the Gettysburg Address and stuff, and then a helicopter lands, and you're transported into modern time.
Yeah.
And then it shows Henry Sturgeon give the same vampire speech to another guy, like in modern times. It'd have been way cooler if I knew that John Wilkes Booth was still alive and they were going to hunt him.
Because he says about, like, a guy drinking alone, like he's either he's depressed or he's trying to
working up the courage to kill somebody or kiss somebody.
Then with Abe, the pistol dropped out of his pocket. Up in modern times, it was just like a regular 9mm that dropped out, and you're like, oh, who's this guy? But yeah, that would have been like a good reason to go off of that. Like, John Wilkes Booth is still alive; he's a vampire hunter. You gotta go out and kill, and this could be like a descendant of Abraham Lincoln or some shit.
Exactly.
It would have been cooler for me because it goes off on much too serious of a tone. Like, I didn't just watch this dude hunt vampires for like 40 minutes for you to go off on the Gettysburg Address and talk about and I know Abe did do that, but like, this wasn't the movie that I just watched.
It might as well have been over the top.
And I mean,
it might as well have been
totally weird.
Yeah, and I mean, Henry, they have a little brief chat in the Oval Office at the end there. I mean, he offers to turn him into a vampire to become immortal, because he's like, what you imagine the good we can do if, if
I did
you're
like
able
this,
to be immortal. And he's, I forget what exactly he said, but like,
he basically pretty much turns him down.
Yeah, he says him down.
There's more than one way to be immortal, basically saying like my legend's gonna live on, which I did like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Off he goes to the theater, and I mean that could have led to a fucking cool scene, which could have set up the future. But I mean, I think you're right. That was a good point.
It was still sad, even without seeing it. But like, I wish we would have seen it, and they could have developed it a little bit further for a sequel or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, I guess it would. I feel like it would have been hard to do a sequel because you don't have Abraham Lincoln at that point. Or anything.
Yeah, you could just follow.
Unless you did like a current sitting president doing it, like avenging Abraham Lincoln, Obama, vampire hunter, and then he's going to take out John Wilkes Booth.
Actually, another IMDb. There is a sequel to this, not a movie. It's a book. There's a sequel to this.
Interesting.
So maybe one day.
Maybe one day, yeah. But yeah, I mean that's Abraham Lincoln, vampire hunter. Just as ridiculous as it sounds. I mean.
I enjoyed it though.
I enjoyed it the whole way through. It was entertaining. It certainly wasn't a good movie, but I don't think it was a terrible movie by any means. It was a movie.
It was a movie.
It was a motion picture, as the kids would say. It was ridiculous, but it did have some entertaining parts. It had a lot of cool kills to it. I was surprised with a lot of the gore. Abraham Lincoln was a badass. Swinging that axe around.
I agree. I mean, my only knock on it is it wasn't much of a horror movie. I would think of it more like we compared it to Fast and the Furious full time. It was an action movie. It was a fun action movie with horror elements.
Yeah, it wasn't really a horror movie. I kind of fucked up on that, but I'm glad we watched it.
Had a lot of vampire killing, vampire hunting in it.
I understood the pick, but then when I was done watching, I was like, this was Lone Ranger territories of
I haven't seen that either.
Yeah.
But I've seen only one. The only other movie I've seen from this director was Wanted, and that was like the most well-known movie that this dude did.
I didn't know
he did Wanted first, and then he went on to do this, and then he has a bunch of other foreign movies that I've never even heard of. Yeah,
That does kind of
it
explain
explains
the
the
slow-mo.
slow-mo, but this was like his last big budget foray into American Hollywood, from what I could see.
Yeah.
I must see if I know anything from him.
Which
Go
is
ahead.
kind of understandable with the the way the movie is, and then like you can't. I wouldn't expect making a movie called Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter to be a huge success at some point. I mean,
It's coin flip at that point.
it's a coin flip,
Yeah.
exactly.
You never know.
But I mean, it was definitely entertaining. It's not something I would probably watch again, but it was worth the watch.
It was worth the watch.
It was definitely entertained. I wasn't bored throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a
The whole time I'm
popcorn
like,
flick.
It
what
was a
the hell is
popcorn
going
movie.
on?
Yeah.
It's a popcorn. It's not any deeper than that. It's just a popcorn flick.
Now what would you rate this out of a 10?
I would probably give it a 7.
A 7? Oh, okay, that's pretty generous.
Yeah.
What about you, Alex?
I'm a little harsher on it. I think I'd give it like a 6.3.
6.3.
It's not. It's fine.
Understandable.
It's fine.
Understandable.
I'll probably give it like a 6. I
Yeah.
would say. It wasn't too terrible. It wasn't too great. It was like, it definitely wasn't B movie quality. Like
No.
the set pieces were there.
I was watching it the
It
whole
looked
time. I'm
good.
just like,
It was a good looking movie.
I was entertained.
I wish it had leaned, like we kind of talked about. I wish it had leaned heavier into the B movie. Like we talked about how I liked B movies. This was too polished and too nice for me to be like, oh, this is a B flick horror movie.
I wish they would have had a
it
scene,
didn't go absurd enough.
or at least they could have had the big finale scene at the White House where like vampires are crawling through the White House or something.
Man.
Like
and
some Gerard Butler White House Down shit.
He's
He
just
should've
going
fought
through the White House,
fucking-
just hacking up vampires.
He should have fought George Washington in the end as a vampire. Like,
Yo,
go fucking absurd. Like you got
in like
this
the
absurd,
archives or something.
yeah. Like you have this absurd concept for you to like, just like I don't know. I feel like they almost played it a
They
little
have
too
two
safe.
axes
You
and they're
know?
just fighting with axes.
Yeah, like that'd be badass.
That would've been
On top of the
incredible.
White House.
Yeah.
Vampires are
Go,
crawling
sir.
up the sides. Like go all out. Go all ridiculous with it at that point.
Could have went heavy. This could have been a way better, more ridiculous. It would have been much more memorable if it went more ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's
I agree.
whether
but,
it'd be better or not, I don't know, but it'd be more memorable.
but yeah, this was the last review of the month. We want to thank everybody for tuning into all the reviews and all the content this month. We have a lot more coming forward. Got a little something special planned for December here. Coming up, so be on the lookout for that. Of course, among all of our regularly scheduled content throughout November going forward as well. But we want to thank you for tuning in during our spooky October month for all the reviews and everything. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to go check out all the other content. I want to thank Vernon and Alex for joining me for all these reviews this month, and I'm sure they're going to be on a lot more of them going forward as well.
Oh yeah. I'll pick more ridiculous movies.
Exactly. Gotta find some more ridiculous movies. So until next time, we'll see everybody later.